It's Dr. Rick, and today's unboxing or unpackaging is on Trace Minerals pre-workout. And I got this from a friend of mine, Joe, who works at Fruitful Yield. I love Fruitful Yield. I have nothing to do with them, and I get no kickbacks, but I'm trying this product out. I will tell you up front that I'm going to do this because it's middle of the day. It's like 5 o'clock, and I'm not in the mood to work out, but I'm going to go to the endorphin effect and push with my heavy metal and see what I can get. So usually, as those of you who know me, I work out in the morning, and I feel it's best in the morning. And technically, I think there's higher testosterone, higher cortisol in the morning, especially after a good night's sleep. However, I missed it today, and I want to get pumped. So this is the pre-workout by Trace Minerals, and here are the ingredients. So I have done individual unboxings on BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, creatine. This is my creatine. This was cheap. I just got this at the vitamin. Nothing against the vitamin shop. I got this at the vitamin shop, I think. And then this is my D-ribose, also from Now Foods. This I got on my own. D-ribose is awesome, and I learned about it through Jacob Teitelbaum, who wrote the book Fatigue to Fantastic for Fibromyalgia Sufferers. Really good precursor for mitochondrial health. So these two together, in addition to B12. So whether you take chewable B12 or powdered B12, creatine was big in the 90s, and there was worries. I don't know who started the rumor, worries about kidney failure. And back alley, a lot of my bodybuilders use, and powerlifters and football players use creatine. And there's a subjective pump that's different when you preload with creatine. And nowadays, you don't even have to preload. You can just do it every day, 3 to 5 grams. For me, it does cause a severe amount of change in water balance in the muscle and in the cardiovascular space or intravascular space. Now, that's just subjective and that's just anecdotal, but I feel that when I do use creatine, it does give me a bigger pump. And when you have a bigger pump, whether that's subjective and it leads to a little bit of an endorphin rush so you can push more weight, or whether it actually gives more muscle fiber, thicker amounts of sarcolemma or plasma to move the muscle faster, who knows? But bottom line is, whether the use of this will give me a better workout. And there's creatine, there's BCAAs, and there's also guarana and nitric oxide and L-arginine theoretically change around the way the blood flows and the way the blood vessel moves. So in theory, it's supposed to get muscle to perform better. So I'm interested, but we'll see what happens. Now, when I'm doing this for a video or I know that I'm being videotaped and I know there's an outcome, I'm going to get to this later on as far as a post-workout tutorial or explanation. Already I'm front-loading my results with placebo, and there's something called the Hawthorne effect. When somebody's being videotaped, they don't act the same. Whether it's placebo or not, it doesn't matter. So honestly, if you can get out and do the exercise, whether it's placebo or it's the creatine or it's the B12, I'm not going to take any of this stuff. Honestly, I'd probably just go caffeine, but I can't do caffeine at 5 o'clock in the afternoon because it's an issue with going to sleep and palpitations and atrial fibrillation and reflux. So that's this is kind of old, but I tried this kind of coffee, I think it was during springtime because my sleep was off and I was staying home, and it screwed up my gut. Anyway, it did give me a burst of energy in the morning, but I have since stopped that and gone back to my green tea. So we'll see what happens with this. I'll try to film a couple sets. Holy shit. That was the first good workout I've had in a long time. But so, Joe, I'm giving this a thumbs up. Now, I turned on my usual heavy metal. I did have 3 other trainers or coaches that were at the gym at the same time. So, and then there was a jiu-jitsu class going on. So not sure if it was the Hawthorne effect or not. However, I got a really good pump. So here's the thing with when you get a pump, or when you get what young guys call swollen, it's the massive influx of blood into the muscle belly. It's called a sarcolemma. And I mentioned earlier that sometimes creatine will, I think, will change the solute concentration. By osmosis, you'll have more fluid going into muscle. Thus, the sarcolemma will get enlarged, and thus you'll have a little bit more thicker muscle fiber. Plus, the creatine adds or gives a little bit of a component to ATP to supposedly get you more energy. You know, they're underpowered studies, but it doesn't matter. I was able to lift more than usual, and I was able to endure more than my usual 15 minutes of hell. You know, the only problem is there are variables there. Number 1, it's middle of the day. Number 2, I did not work out fasted. I usually work out fasted. Number 3, I did have this, but that's not a variable. Number 4, there were other people observed me, watching me. So, doesn't matter. Regardless, if it got me to the point where I was able to get a good workout, a better workout than I've had in a long time, and get pretty pumped up and move weight, a higher amount of weight than I have in a long time, is useful. If there's no side effects with taking the supposed the stuff, the components being what I just mentioned to you. Let's see what happens tomorrow, because there is a hint of guarana and L-arginine and creatine. So I'm going to have this massive amount of fluid going into muscle because I utilized it. And I will probably have a massive efflux of fluid coming out of the muscle into the intravascular space. And guess where that's going to go? I'm going to go through my kidneys. I'm going to pee probably in about 4 to 6 hours. So likelihood is I'm going to wake up at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, have to pee, and then we'll see what happens. So I'll also, I'm going to post this video and edit it tonight, but I'll put down in the comments how I did tomorrow morning. I think pre-workout does help. I think hard rock does help. I think having people around you does help. I think having a place that isn't boring. Okay, I'm going to show you. So that's my workout place, and that is boring. So I made that on my own to make it through COVID, and it's just so boring in the house. So it's harder to get through that 15 minutes of hell. So thus, when I happen to work out at the place that I coach, maybe I have an advantage that you guys don't have, but come work out with me. Whoever wants to work out, put comments down below. I'll see if I can work something out where I have a invitational lecture, and we can actually have a movement lecture or a yoga lecture. In fact, I will do that. I'm going to talk to Miwa about, instead of an informative lecture where we just talk to the crowd, I'm going to see if I can do an active one. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe. Share this with other folks who are just hard to get moving as far as exercise, or making up all the excuses to exercise, and maybe we can get them going out. Let's make 2021 a summit that all of us can be happy with, because 2020 sucked. So see you at the next video.